Hey guys, it's Dion. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Dion. I am a K-pop enthusiast, which brings me into what today's video is going to be about, which I'm sure you can tell from the title. I've seen quite a few K-pop concerts in different countries, majority of them being GOT7, but for today's video what I'm going to do is compare all the countries that I've been to for K-pop concerts, and I'm going to go over a few things in terms of like ticket pricing, how I purchased the tickets, concert experience wise, because every country is extremely different when it comes to K-pop concerts. I've only seen K-pop concerts in 4 different countries, but I really wanted to make a comparison because I know that some countries don't really get many K-pop concerts, so people want to travel to different countries to see K-pop concerts. I also asked you guys on my Instagram story last night to send in some questions and things that you had specifically that you wanted to know, and the response, oh my god, you guys sent in so many questions, so thank you for the people that did send in questions. I'm gonna go through those at the end. So I'm gonna try and make this as short and as informative as I can. I thought this shirt was quite fitting. This is the shirt from the GOT7 Keep Spinning tour that I got on the Australian tour. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna just wear it because majority of the concerts I've been to, I got 7. I haven't seen BTS in concert yet. I tried for the lottery tickets for the Seoul concerts and I didn't win. Going in order, I saw GOT7 at Eyes on You tour in Singapore. I saw NCT in Korea. I just happened to be in Korea at the time on holiday, and they were doing a concert and I was like, actually shut up. GOT7 at the Road to You tour in Japan. Then Just 2, I saw them in May in Singapore. I count Just 2 as GOT7 because it literally is Yoongyum and Jaewoong of GOT7, and Mark was also there because he was the MC of the entire event. I saw GOT7 in Korea for the Keep Spinning World Tour, and then just recently, if you've been watching my vlogs, in August I saw GOT7 again twice in Australia, in Sydney and Melbourne for the Keep Spinning World Tour. That's it so far. So 8 GOT7 shows and 1 ACT show. I even made notes on my phone because I'm that dedicated. So for the Eyes on You tour, my ticket was 292 Singapore dollars, which in Australian dollars is about $310. This ticket was VIP standing, and what it included was a lucky draw into High Touch, and then every VIP ticket also got a lanyard. So my ticket was about $310. However, in Asian countries, you already get a queuing number, which means you get given a number, and that is the number that you have to wait in line. And then when everyone gets let into the venue, you get let in order of the number on your ticket. Whereas in Australia, we camp out and we do our own numbering system. It's basically a first come, first serve instead of a you go in with whatever number you have on your ticket. My ticket that I got was number 960, and I didn't know how many people there was in my mosh pit. Obviously, I was happy to be wherever, but I really wanted to get close to the stage. So I purchased more tickets, 2 more tickets that were being sold by another person, and I think I paid $600 for both, and then I kept my original ticket because I won High Touch with my original ticket. So I was very, very, very blessed that my very first K-pop concert, my very first time seeing GOT7, I got to meet them in High Touch, is still one of the most precious memories of my entire life. But yes, in total, I spent over $900 on tickets because I wanted to get closer to the stage. So for the purchasing, it was just all through their website. Apactix, I don't know. So there was a normal sale. That was a few months before the show. Then they did another sale. I bought my 1 ticket in that sale because it was such a last minute decision that I decided to go. I didn't even have a passport at the time. And then as for the other 2 tickets I bought, they were someone reselling them. For NCT, I was going to purchase it from someone on Twitter, and I had a really bad experience with them. I added them on KakaTalk, we were messaging. Basically, it was going to be an exchange on the day of the concert. We were going to meet at the merch stand. She was going to give me the ticket and I was going to give her the money. On the day of the concert, she no-showed. So I was standing at the front of the KSPO Dome crying my eyes out because I was like, I'm here and now I'm not going to get to see them. But I was very lucky that they were actually selling tickets at the venue. I didn't know that they did did that for Korean shows, but basically they just sold whatever tickets hadn't been sold. Okay, so I'm just editing and I realized that I actually said the wrong price for the NCT ticket. It was 121,000 won, which is about 150 Australian dollars, and that is like insane. Such a good price. That ticket didn't include anything, so there was no benefits or like no free gifts or anything. It was just a normal general seated ticket. Road to you in Japan. The tickets were 9,800 yen, which is 135 Australian dollars. However, I can't remember completely, but I remember I paid more for the ticket, and I'm pretty sure it was around $200, so about $400 for both tickets. I purchased them from someone reselling the tickets. Basically, in Japan, you had to literally be a Japanese resident in order to purchase tickets. So the whole Japan concert was seated. There was floor seating and then there was tiered seating. Members of the fan club got lottery tickets, which were the best guaranteed tickets, and they were just basically all the floor seats. And then there was a general sale for all the tiered seating, but to do any of the sales, the lottery and the general sale, you had to be a Japanese resident. I purchased my tickets from someone that was reselling the tickets, and that's why the price was more expensive than what it originally cost. And then what really irritated me was because GOT7's most recent Japan tour, and they announced that international fans got their own sale, so they got to buy their tickets and they didn't have to buy like resale tickets, which is really irritating that they didn't do that to begin with. I know some people that actually bought them off StubHub, which is a resale website, and you can't trust resale websites. Like, they were lucky because their tickets were legit, but imagine buying tickets off a resale website, you're paying triple the price, and then you get to the venue and tickets don't even work. Like, that would be my biggest fear. Thank you, JYP, finally getting your shit together and letting international fans purchase Japanese tickets. The next show was Just Two. This was in Singapore. It was actually at the same venue I saw them at for Eyes on You, so it was a very nostalgic moment for me. My ticket was 258 Singapore dollars, which is about 273 Australian dollars. Every single ticket in the Just Two event was seated. However, there was VIP and then there was general seating. I got VIP seating and they came with a lucky draw chance to get high touch or photo op. There was also a competition that you could enter to win fan signing. I was lucky enough to win high touch on one ticket, so my friend Shan that I went with, she had the ticket that had high touch, and I had entered the fan signing competition, and I was lucky enough to win fan signing, which was unreal because it was like 100 people. And I have a whole video talking about my experience. I'll link it down below if you want to watch it. And purchasing, I bought the ticket on the same website I bought for Eyes on You, which was our Parks Tix. The Keep Spinning tour in Korea. My tickets were 122,000 won, which is about 150 Australian dollars. All the tickets were the same price, so you didn't have to pay more for GA. Usually with concerts you have to pay more for GA. I was lucky enough to manage to get standing for both days. Everyone was messaging me on Instagram and on Twitter, how did you get tickets for a Korean concert? Oh my god, they're so hard to get into, especially GOT7. You can't get into their Korean shows. Oh my god. The way I got a Korean ticket, and I recommended this to literally everyone that messaged me, you need to join the fan club. That is the way to get the tickets. I bought my tickets in the silver Agase member pre-sale because unfortunately I'm not a gold Agase as I don't live in Korea. So I just got whatever was left over from the gold members sale in the silver members sale. So I don't even know if there was that much left, but it sold out so fast and it was so stressful because I really did not think I was going to get the tickets. Because all tickets were the same price, there was no VIP benefits, there was no VIP fan gifts. My tickets were purchased off Melon Ticket Global. The last two were the Keep Spinning shows in Australia. So the first show was Sydney and my ticket was 400 Australian dollars. That is the most I have ever paid for a ticket for a concert before. It was VIP early entry general admission, and you can see all about that in my Sydney vlog in which I camped out for 3 days for that show. Boy, that was an experience. It included early entry into the venue, so we got let in before everyone and we got 30 to 45 minutes to just hang out in the venue, go to the toilet, get drinks. There was merch inside so you could purchase the merch, and then we got escorted into the venue. We also got a gift, so we got that lanyard, we got this bag, GOT7 Keep Spinning World Tour, we got these photo card, postcard looking thing. So there's 7 in here. And we also got a Spinning Top album. The last show was Keep Spinning in Melbourne, and I just bought general admission tickets. So that was about $180. And that didn't include any VIP benefits. It was just a normal general admission standing ticket. And both the Sydney and Melbourne shows I purchased off Ticketek, which is just an Australian ticket selling website. In terms of pricing, I'm trying to think of which ticket I think is the best value for money. I'm going to be completely honest, I do not think the money I paid for the Sydney show was worth what I got. And I only say this because they just announced for the Europe shows that they get high touch. Their tickets are not even $300 and they get guaranteed high touch, so they don't even get lucky draw high touch or anything. We paid $100 extra and we get less than what they get. Every country or every show should have the same ticket options and similar ticket pricings, but making other countries pay more than others, in my opinion, doesn't seem fair. I would have paid gladly $300 for that package that I had in Sydney, but $400 is an insane amount of money. It's very hard to say like which concert I would like recommend you going to, or which country I would recommend you going to just based off price, especially because not everything gets announced at the same time. So not all the ticket sales are at the same time. Say they announced every single country at the same time and there was all the pricing for each ticket and all the benefits were listed for each ticket, that would be a lot easier, because then you could say, oh, Europe has high touch, I want to go to that show. Japan has all seated, I'm gonna go to that show. And honestly, in my opinion, I said this on Twitter as well, if FanFest, which is what GOT7 just recently did in Bangkok, if FanFest had have been announced before the Australian tour, I would have gone to FanFest, because FanFest was a lot better value for money. It was like $300. You got guaranteed high touch with one member per day. 7 shows and each member did high touch each day. And for what I paid to go to Sydney and Melbourne, tickets, flights, accommodation, I could have gone to all 7 FanFest shows, but FanFest was announced after the Sydney and Melbourne shows. So I'd already booked all my Sydney and Melbourne tickets, accommodation, flights, so everything was done. My point being, if everything was announced at the same time, it would be a lot easier to make a reasonable decision. Honestly, honest to God, the most expensive was Australia. Australia is just so expensive in general. Basically, my town, I have to fly to the city and then I have to fly from Perth to whatever other city I'm seeing them in. For flying from Perth to Melbourne or Perth to Sydney, I could fly to Thailand, I could fly to Singapore. It is like ridiculous that it is cheaper for us to leave the country than it is to fly within our country. The most expensive in terms of food, accommodation, flights, everything was Australia. Australia was number 1. Japan was number 2. Japan is so expensive. Honestly, I think Singapore might be more expensive than Korea. Like, the food was so expensive in Singapore. The flights aren't too bad. I think depending on the time of year that you're going, it's not too expensive, but the food is very expensive. Hotels are very expensive. Accommodation is very cheap in Korea. You just have to research and look hard. When I went to Keep Spinning tour, I went on my own. My flights were quite expensive because I booked them less than a month in advance. I found a really good accommodation I spoke about in my vlogs. The accommodation itself was good, so close to the venue, literally 10 minutes walking distance. There was food places around, there was convenience stores around. It was such a good spot. So it was really good value for money. So Korean accommodation is good if you research hard. The last main point I wanted to discuss was the overall experience at each concert. As a new tour Singapore, the show itself was absolutely mind-blowing to this day. Probably still one of GOT7's best concerts that I've ever been to. I don't know if it was just because it was my first time seeing them or if it was just like the set list was that good. I don't know what it was, but it was just amazing. However, in saying that, it was the worst mosh pit I have ever been in. So unsafe. What do you expect? It's a mosh pit. Like, I'm not complaining, but I'm putting it out there. The general vibe from the fans, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really feeling it at Eyes on You, and I did speak about this in my video from ages ago. I felt very out of place. No one was really welcoming or talking or anything like that, which is very weird because when I get to my Just 2, experience, which was also in Singapore. I will touch on that, but everyone was very nice at that experience. So really weird. I'll quickly touch on NCT. Honestly, I remember thinking the entire time, I am so glad I'm in seated, because I was watching the mosh and it was insane. It was probably worse than what I was in for GOT7 at Eyes on You. The mosh pit was ridiculous. So I remember just sitting in seated thinking, thank God that girl screwed me over and I didn't get that standing ticket, because I'm so glad I'm in seated. They were incredible performers, and it was so cool seeing their show from a little bit further back, because I got to experience everything. The Korean NCT fans, not really very welcoming. Like, no one really spoke to me at all. I tried to talk to some people around me in the crowd. There wasn't many international fans there. GOT7 in Japan, I spoke about this in my Japanese vlogs that I did when I was there. One of the biggest downsides about seeing GOT7 in Japan is that Jackson isn't there, so it does feel incomplete. I cried a few times at the show because it just felt weird not having Jax there. It was still an amazing show. Like, they still put on such a good show. I'm over the moon that I got to see the whole I Won't Let You Go album live. Aside from Zero. Why did they not sing Zero? I thank God every day that I got to see Reborn, and then I got to see Yoon with his whip in 25. Another downside is that the crowd is very quiet. I knew this going into Japan, but you don't realize how insane it is until you're actually part of it. I kind of appreciate it being quiet at some points, because it's good to like hear everything, but at other points it kind of makes me feel uncomfortable, and in my opinion it just didn't feel like people were having a good time. But that was just on the first day. The second day was fine because they were filming for the DVD, so like everyone was excited. And the other downside, it was all floor seating and none of it was elevated. So on the first show, everyone stood up and I could not see anything. Just Two. See, Just Two was a premiere showcase tour. I haven't been to a fan meeting, but I feel like it's kind of was in the style of a fan meeting, because it was like they performed a couple of songs, they sat down, spoke about the album, played some games. Mark left, then they sung a few more songs. Mark came back for the encore. It was a concert, but it wasn't really a concert, and I'm so glad I went, because I don't know if Just Two will ever do anything like that again, so I'm glad that I went and got to experience that. Overall, majority of the people were very nice. It was a lot different to Eyes on You, where I felt very out of place. For Just Two, I felt a lot more welcome. Keep spinning in Korea, can't even explain. Like, definitely one of the best experiences like of my literal entire life. I feel like I say that for like every GOT7 concert, but for real, seeing them in Korea at KSPO Dome, the biggest Korean venue ever, being in that atmosphere, there were quite a lot of Korean fans, but there were also a lot of international fans, so everyone just came together. I met people from America, I met people from Thailand, I met people from Singapore, I met people from Manila. Like, such a cool experience to meet fans from all over the world. And being there for the very first show, I got to experience seeing the set list without knowing what the set list was going to be. It's so hard to explain, but you can really feel like their heart when they're in Korea, because you know, like, it's their home. Whether you like GOT7, whether you like BTS, whether you like whatever friggin' K-pop group, please see them at a Korean show. I recommend that the most. Like, that's my number one like top recommendation. And the feeling of pride you get when you see your favorite artists performing in big venues in their home country, it is like one of the best feelings in the world. So I recommend seeing them in Korea. The only downside was camping out for merch. That was not fun. That was the only bad experience. And also the no filming thing, which I forgot to mention in Japan and is quite big in Singapore too. Singapore's kind of, you can kind of judge your way around it. Japan, no freaking chance. Japan is the worst for like filming. You can't film, can't take pictures. Only time you can do it is the encore. Then Australia, Sydney, my experience was not good, but that was because I made the decision to camp out, which you can see in my vlog. Not a good experience. I got sick. Everyone was bitching. Like, the lines got screwed up. Like, some girl just rocked up and she started bossing everyone around, and she was like, I'm in charge of all of you. Like, I make the rules. Very stressful, very exhausting mentally and physically. In saying that, the concert itself was an experience I'll never forget. Being center barricade is something I always wanted for GOT7, and I was so lucky that I got that, but because I put in the friggin' hard work and I spent the money. Melbourne experience was really good because we just rocked up, got into the venue, stood at the back, ran around the mosh a bit so we could get views from different parts of the stage, danced at the back. In Melbourne, I had lots of people recognize me from my videos, so that was really cool as well. People were really nice in Melbourne, handing out lots of free stuff. And in Sydney, people were a little bit more on edge. I think it's because so many of us camped out that it was very intense. One of the perks about Australian concerts is that they don't have a problem with filming or taking pictures. I think I went over everything. You guys sent me so many questions. What was the best organization? I think Korea has very good organization. Queuing, I know you guys queued days before in Australia, but in the UK they said from 12 o'clock the same day only. So they actually said the same thing for Australia. They said you could only camp out from 8 AM on the day of the show, but we got there 2 days early. We messaged the venue, we spoke to the rangers around the venue, we spoke to the staff at the venue. They said you guys are in charge of doing your own number system. So if you want to do a number system, if you want to be here 2 days early, that's up to you. No, we're not going to take responsibility for anything. And if you lose your place in line, then you lose your place, which we knew to begin with. They say that they don't want you to be there until like the day of the show because they just want to prevent fighting or insane queues. It's literally just a thing. Like everyone camps out early for concerts, so you just know it's going to happen. You've got to make sure you're prepared and you're looking after yourself because your health is the main priority. Money management. I get a lot of questions in terms of how do you afford to go to all these shows. I'm a barista. I don't make a lot of money. I just budget really well and I have separate savings accounts. I have 2 separate accounts. I just work a shit ton and I also work full time. So I know a lot of people that watch my videos are still in school, so they struggle a lot when it comes to money. When I was in school, couldn't travel. I'd never left the country. I'd only gone to Perth for concerts. How does merch work at a K-pop concert? I'm seeing got7 soon. It depends honestly on which country you're going to, but usually what they should do is they should have a merch stand outside and basically you just literally line up and you buy your merch. Some countries, example Korea, and I know they did it in Japan too, people camped out for merch because merch tends to sell a lot faster at Korean and Japanese shows. Some shows there's no merch. Singapore, Eyes on You, there was no merch. Worst and best concert experience. I honestly don't really think there's a worst because there's no bad concert with got7. Like every moment I have with them is a moment that I will treasure for the rest of my life. I've never had a bad concert from them. In terms of best concert, it's so hard to tell, but Eyes on You is a very big part of my heart because it was my very first got7 concert, but Keep Spinning in Seoul the second night was a very unreal experience. It was just, the vibe was amazing. Can you talk about how safe you felt in each country? That's a good question. I honestly thought that I would feel a lot more scared in the countries that I went to that like weren't Australia, but I honestly did not feel scared at all. Like when I went to Korea on my own, I was so scared to go before, but once I got there, everything was fine. I've never felt unsafe there. Singapore, never felt unsafe, just felt extremely hot. Japan, never felt unsafe either. Honestly, in Australia, I have felt pretty unsafe at times, but that's just Australia. Can you please go over different documents we may need as foreigners trying to attend? Not just like when you travel, when you go to the concert, take your passport because you need that as your proof of identity. I know for some countries, is that a visa or there's something else? My friend Macy that lives in Manila was telling me she needed something in order to travel. I can't remember what it was. I'm so sorry. If you purchase your tickets off someone else's card, say you purchase your ticket off your mum or dad's card, you need to print a copy of their card front and back. You also need a copy of their form of identification, whether it's a driver's license or a passport. And you also need a written permission from them at the bottom that says, person's parent name gives person permission to accept the tickets. But if you purchase the tickets on your own card, it's fine. Just bring your bank card with you to prove that it's your bank card and bring your passport to prove that it's you. What would you say the level of difficulty is as far as getting around with language barriers? I found Japan was a lot harder to get around than Korea. I don't know any Japanese, whereas I do know some Korean, so it is a lot easier for me to navigate within Korea. But I feel like if you go into a foreign country, if you learn a few basic phrases, it is genuinely pretty easy. So you can always use Google Translate if you're suffering. Does standing actually give you a better experience apart from visually? In my opinion, I feel like you need to experience both because everyone is different. Everyone has different preferences. People might prefer to sit down for an entire show. People might prefer to stand up and dance, or people might prefer to stand close to the barrier. I feel like getting to the barricade to be closer to the boys is a more stressful experience, but it is rewarding because you get to be close to them and you get that feeling of being close to your favorite people in the world. However, being at the back is no less of a bad experience. It is still a good experience because you get to see more of the stage, you get to see more of the lights, more of the audience, you get to dance around a bit. Even the same with seated, you get a good view. There's no bad ticket. It is just really down to preference. How do you even afford all of that? Work my big ass off and save my money. So that brings us to the end of this video. This is going to be so long. I reckon I've literally been speaking for an hour and a half right now. I really hope this was beneficial for some of you guys. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else that you want me to touch on, or you can message me on Twitter or Instagram. I always get lots of comments and messages saying I'm like never gonna see GOT7 in concert. I just want to say, please do not give up. The amount of nights that I spent like literally crying myself to sleep because I was so in such a bad state. I was like, I love these guys so much and I'm just like never gonna get the chance to see them. I'm never gonna get the chance to tell them that. Like, I'm never gonna get to be in their presence, experience them live. Like, I genuinely thought for the longest time that I would never see them and that I would never experience anything. You just have to know that you can't give up. If they don't come to your country, there are other options. You just have to budget really well, save as much money as you can, whether it's pocket money, work money, birthday money, just try and save as much as you can. And if they come to a country or a city near you, look at traveling. You don't have to travel for them, but if you want to travel, you get to see the world and you also get to see your alts. It is hard for K-pop idols. I can't go to every single country, unfortunately. So if they can't come to your country, you've got to go to them. Don't give up. Keep working hard, keep spinning, and your time will come. I promise you that. You will all see your favorite boys or girls or artists or singers or whatever. You'll all see your favorite people. Don't give up. Yes. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe, please. And I will see you guys in my next video. Peace. I'm